everybody, it's Charlie with Daily Motor, and today we've got the infotainment test on the 2023 Toyota RAV4. In this video, we're going to take a look at how the updated Toyota Connected Services infotainment system works, and take a demo on Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and try to answer any of your questions on how to use this new screen, and what sort of improvements we see in this 2023 model over the previous years of RAV4 that had the older Entune system. Before we get started, let's hop out, take a quick look at it. This is the Woodland edition of the hybrid RAV4. So we've got bronze wheels, some roof rails, obviously the pretty darn good hybrid powertrain that comes on these, the 2.5 liter and everything, but also some all-terrain tires that we're going to go put to work here in a little bit up in the Saddleback Mountains. So if you do want to see more on the RAV4 hybrid, check the link in the description. We've got a good amount of coverage on the model. You'll be able to find all of it in the link below. Now, while all the 2023 RAV4s are running this updated infotainment system, there are two different screen sizes. This is the standard 8-inch screen, and then there's a larger 10.5-inch that takes up more of the display here, and you can start getting that, I believe, on the Adventure trim for the gas models and the XLE Premium on the hybrids. Kind of depends on what packages you get in those, but this 8-inch system sometimes I've noticed actually works better than the larger one. Even though you can't see it quite as well, it seems to be a little bit more responsive. You've got this really nice map system here starting off. This is running based on Google Maps, essentially. So you can see the green traffic information there as I zoom out more and more, and we scroll up here toward Los Angeles. You can see a lot more red and orange showing you where traffic is bad, and then you can bring yourself right back to the center here. A lot of your controls are going to be very intuitive if you're used to using something like a Google mapping system. You can see you can zoom right in, come right back out. Fairly responsive. I'm noticing a little bit of screen lag there, but a good system nonetheless. Moving down on the left here, we have our media screen, and you can see it's streaming my wireless Android Auto right now. If we click down here on sources, then you've got radio, which is going to give us our options of AM, FM, and Sirius XM radio with some favorites on the side. Back to sources, we get, like I said, the Android Auto. USB for the USB-A port down there. I've got some data plugged in, so this is how you'd see your screen if you were playing music off of a USB drive. Back to sources. Apple Music and Amazon Music built in right there. I know a lot of people are going to be happy about that. So if you had an Apple Music subscription and you were logged in right here, you can see you can scan that QR code and get logged in, play your Apple Music right there, and same with your Amazon Music, built right in, and you'd be able to do that streaming without any sort of device connected. It would be nice to see something like Spotify, Pandora, Tidal. The problem is there's always more streaming services coming out, and you can't possibly expect any brand to be right up on speed with all of them. But I know Spotify is probably a big one that a lot of you would like to see. And the cool thing is this system does allow for over-the-air updates, so Toyota could add that in the future. Moving down this left screen, if you haven't noticed, on the left is how you sort of get to your main elements of the infotainment system, and then up on the top right you have things like your time and your cell phone signal. So again, moving down on the left, we've got phone. It's not really giving us any information right now because it is connected via Android Auto, but if we click on devices, that would give you the option to go up here to manage devices, and then you'd be able to connect different sorts of devices or switch whether you want Apple CarPlay or Android Auto projecting, or if you want to use just a standard Bluetooth sort of connection. And as you can see, as I'm navigating through this, Toyota did a really good job at making the screen very intuitive, good contrasts, and big buttons as well. So things like the search button, or you saw this devices button, they're very large, very easy to press while driving. Continuing down the left screen, we see the vehicle menu. That's giving us trip information, so you can see my current trip, what sort of fuel economy and average speed I've had, and then history over the last few days, what my miles per gallon have been since I've cleared it. A bunch of different options there. Energy flow, in this hybrid model, it's going to show me how much charge is in my battery, and if I were to say press the accelerator here, well, it doesn't actually show the engine coming on, but if I were to put it into drive, then you can see it's showing that energy is flowing from the battery. Oh, and there's my backup camera. Going back, vehicle alert if I had anything like low tire pressure or probably oil life or something like that. If there's anything wrong with the vehicle, it would pop up there under vehicle alert. I would like to see a little bit more under the vehicle screen. There's so much going on in this car, and it would be cool to be able to geek out a little bit more, see what's going on with energy usage, but that's all you've got. In settings, this is where it gets kind of cool. If you owned this vehicle, you would actually make a profile for yourself here, and then any other Toyota or Lexus products with this infotainment system, you could log into those with your profile as well, and then things like your climate control settings, your music, a lot of different settings could go from vehicle to vehicle and actually go with you. So say maybe you owned a RAV4 and your spouse owned a new NX and you swapped back and forth between the vehicles, you could get in, and whether it's paired with your key or your phone, tell it that you're the one driving, and then it would load up your settings. Some of them, with some of the cars, even it does seat settings and mirrors, things like that. So that is a pretty cool development here for these Toyotas. Below that, things like various informations, your Bluetooth devices, some accessibility. So if you want the screen to beep when you touch things, you can have that. I prefer to have that off. Date and time, this is how you'd set the time. Usually the time is set with GPS, but if you disable that, then you can actually go in and set your time zone. You could even set the time manually right there and toggle through, much like you'd see on something like a smartphone. We're going to leave GPS on. Also even change your date format if you're interested. Different languages. What do we got in here? We've got English, Spanish, and French in this one. Some different units as well. Wi-Fi. So you do have a Wi-Fi hotspot in this vehicle. You can turn that on and connect with devices inside the car, provide them with an internet connection, and you can actually connect the vehicle to Wi-Fi as well in order to do some of those over-the-air updates. I'm going to turn both of those off. Display settings. This is where you would adjust the brightness for the screen. I guess I probably should have had that all the way up for this review, so we'll leave that up. And then contrast as well. I think that does pretty well right in the middle, but user preference is there. Automatic brightness is good for as it's getting into nighttime. You can actually have that stay in its light mode during the day, and then at nighttime switch over here to the dark mode. Some people are going to prefer to have that dark mode on at all times. Maybe it's easier on your eyes, but in a bright sunny environment like this, it is nice to have automatic. Then some camera settings. You can actually change the brightness of the screen for when the camera comes on. Maybe you want your normal driving around screen to be a little bit darker, but once you get, when you put it on the back of camera, you want that to be as bright as possible. That's an option there. And you can actually kind of just see some of your color calibrations down there. Sound and media, this is how you're going to adjust your sound levels and your EQ. If you do want to see a more in-depth review on the 8-speaker sound system, check the link in the description. We'll go through all the treble, mid-range, and bass and everything. You can also adjust audio levels for, say, your phone ringtone. Maybe you want to hear calls coming in, but you couldn't care less about messages. You could turn the volume on your new messages way down. And the system voice as well. While the voice assistant is speaking to you, you can adjust the volumes for that. Voice and search. This is where we see the wake word right there. That's what it is. I'm going to say it right now. And all of these Toyotas with this new infotainment system allow you to speak to the car. Don't have to press any buttons to engage it. And this will allow the car to do a variety of features such as navigation or even giving you contextual clues. Like let's try a few examples here. Hey Toyota. Hey Toyota. What was the score of the game last night? What was the score of the game last night?
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you.
Oh, I thought it could do that. Maybe I'm thinking of Hyundai's system. Hey Toyota. It's really not working very well. Hey Toyota. Hey Toyota.
What do you want to do?
Navigate to Starbucks.
I found 15 results. The first is Starbucks at Lake Forest Drive. Would you like to go to that one?
Yes.
Calculating route to Starbucks.
So maybe not quite as slick and smooth as something
Starting route guidance.
Okay. As something like an Android automotive
Turn
system.
right at the end of the road onto Civic Center Drive.
But you can do it. Let's try a few more of them here. Hey Toyota.
What do you want to do?
Cancel my route guidance.
Canceling trip.
Hey Toyota.
What do you want to do?
What's the weather like today?
Here is the weather for Lake Forest, California on Thursday, July 13th, mostly sunny.
Mostly sunny. Okay, all right. It's actually given me a 5-day forecast there. I don't think it needs to have as much vocal feedback as it does. It makes the system slower and more tedious. And if I'm driving down the road, I really just want to get to my results quickly. But maybe there are some settings for that. Let's see. Voice and search, voice prompt. When disabled, the system will respond with beeps instead of voice prompts. Okay, so let's turn that off and try again. Hey, Toyota. What's the weather like today? Okay, so that speeds up the system, you can see there. If I owned the car, I would definitely have this voice prompt off. Below that, we see vehicle customize. Let's see. Headlight auto on sensitivity. That's nice to be able to adjust. So if you're someone who wants your headlights to come on as soon as the sun starts to set, you can have that on. Auto off timer, that's going to keep the lights on for a certain amount of time after you shut the vehicle off and walk away. Daytime running lamps, good to have that on. Door control, having it auto lock and unlock depending on your shifter, as well as when you, like right here, when you unlock the door, when you touch it, I don't want the driver's door only to unlock. I want all doors to unlock. Maybe if you're in a sketchy area, you want to have that off. Dealer info. This is interesting. So this is actually going to give the information for your dealer right here built in. Looks like West Coast Toyota of Los Angeles is where this one's set up for. Gives you your phone number for them. That's pretty nice. Down here, apps. You can... Remote authorization is required. Okay, so you can actually log into from the Toyota app, get all the settings set up right there for that. So that's the gist of the built-in infotainment right up here. Let's try touching up by the clock. Yep, that takes us straight to the clock settings as I expected. Okay. There's not really a home screen per se. It's just kind of whatever screen you want to be on. I typically use the map as home. But let's take a look at Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. We're going to start off with Android Auto first. After about a year and a half of rocking my iPhone 13 mini, I'm trying out the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. And so, yeah, we're wirelessly connected. This car supports both wired and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Clicking up here, you can see your Android Auto home screen. Right now I've got my YouTube music up on the right, and then navigation here in the center. It's a nice split screen, and then you have your most recently used apps on the left. Android Auto has come a ways to sort of mirror Apple CarPlay in certain setups, kind of having that quick toggle screen. But then you've got your app screen. Let's open up something like, let's go down to Waze. I think that'd be important. Refresh rate is okay. Resolution's not fantastic. Cut that out there. And we see Waze. Let's go navigate to somewhere like, where have I gone recently? Santa Monica. And there you go. You got your Waze running right on your on your main screen, and then if you click that, then it's got your YouTube music open on one side and your mapping going on the other. Let's get this disconnected and let's throw up Apple CarPlay. Had to run home and grab my iPhone, and we'll actually get to do a quick demo on how to pair up your device as well. So we're going to go here to Settings, Bluetooth and Devices, add another device, bring my iPhone into the Bluetooth screen, and then search for devices. Right away we see Charlie's iPhone. Click that, and then on my phone it's given me, any second now, a pairing. Press OK on both. Yeah, so for some reason that doesn't want to connect as CarPlay. Let's try plugging it in. There we go. When you plug in, CarPlay comes up right away. And we can see we're greeted with, as it loads up, our Google Maps screen. Again, not the largest resolution. Doesn't look necessarily fantastic on this 8.5-inch screen. Don't quite know why Google Maps isn't loading up as well. Maybe let's switch over and try Apple Maps. Let's see right here. There we go. Apple Maps coming up there. Looking good. You can move it around. Okay, refresh rate. Here's your call screen. YouTube music. Let's take a quick look over at Amazon Music as well. And then here is the way to get back to the normal Toyota screen. When you want to get back to the main Toyota infotainment system, this is where I think it's a little behind some of the other systems. There's no sort of physical home button or anything to get back. You have to actually press your app screen and then press Toyota, and that brings you back to the main system. Toyota says that's a software limitation with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but I've seen plenty of manufacturers that have a dedicated kind of main toggle menu, whether it's physical or virtual, even when you're in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So there it is, the updated infotainment system here on the 8-inch screen in the 2023 Toyota RAV4. Hope you all found that informative. Let us know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to know about the system. We'll try to fill you in after the fact here, and we'll try to get our hands on one of the 10.5-inch screens as well, kind of show you the difference in those. If you want to see anything more on the RAV4, check the link, it's in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.